Okay, let us know what we did.
Okay, so this is the application new economics. What we did last time was to add a table. And let me start from the models.
Beautiful.
So here we have three tables. We have the source, the product, plus the year data. And the source has the type, either the export or the import. And we know that from the, then you also have another table, which is the product.
Beautiful.
That has the variables, this, CITC2, and the description.
Beautiful.
Plus then we also have the year data, which has the source, the product, year, and value. But then we get to see, we have a file called the data processing. Which has a class algo Uganda, but it inherits from the algo.
Right.
And you know where we get the algo from? It's from the core. If you are to call what Dr. Mus taught us, like the class animal when he was teaching us Python, inheritance.
Yes. Beautiful.
Yes. And the algorithm is here. This is what everything is.
Which has a lot of functions. We're using
Yeah,
only a few of them now.
Yes, it has a lot of functions.
Very good.
So it has the algo, the object is here. It has the, if we see this line, this function, the init, so the chapter ID is like the name of the what? The name of application, which we named this chapter ID. We have a chapter ID and a target field. When you see here from the solve the chapter ID, it is actually the name of our what? Our application. When we go to the data processing, we shall find that the chapter ID, we named it as what? New economics.
Beautiful.
Yes. So here we are saying from the self, the chapter ID, which is the other side on the data processing. Okay, this algo, let me say that this algo utilities.py is like the base, the root of our what? Application. What we learned from it is we have the root directory. We know we have the self.project root directory. This one is just to show us the what? The part where we are going to put our application. We know that we have the os path.join, this function. It's telling us that we go to the settings.web. It joins this data file that we have here. Plus the application, which is that self.chapter ID.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So here we are telling it, make
so
the directory.
one thing you can say, if I had to use, let's say, another, I want to create not only Uganda statistics or whatever, I want to have two projects at the same time. And I want to have a directory for all the data for the Uganda statistics or economics, but I want for the other one. So the difference will be I will inherit from the algo, but the constructor, I will put just a different name and it will create another directory under the data and all the subdirectory automatically. Correct?
Correct.
That's the beauty about it. Good. Go ahead, continue. Very good job.
So when you see this function that solve to data path, it is actually joining the project, the project and the data sets, which is this. When you see this data set,
beautiful.
It has the exports and the what? And the imports.
Very
and good. This os.make directory, this true, it will join if it finds that you actually we give exist okay true because it is what it is there, it exists. That's why we give it a true.
Right.
Plus then we have the images and the models, which are these, but those we haven't touched.
Okay, we haven't really used them here, but in fact, in a lot of other projects, if we do estimation in machine learning, we use them a lot.
Yeah. So
Beautiful. Beautiful.
all these we haven't used actually. But then you see that we have functions here. Here we have functions, which some have been used. So I'm going to go to the data processing, which is our main that you're using. So we know that we've created a class, which is Algo Uganda Economics, but it inherits from the Algo, which is in the Algo utilities.py file. So as you see, we have, this is a function. So this is inheriting when we say from this. The solve here, plus this one. It's this. So these functions that were created, the upload data to database, then we have the get data function. There are two functions actually that were made here. So from here, when you look at this function, upload data to database, this DF means a data frame. It's a data frame in full and it's a table. So here we see that we have a table of exports and a table of what? Imports. Yeah. So here that self.load Excel data exports, it will actually load it automatically. You don't need to even put what? This, it will find these are Excel.
Exactly, beautiful.
Excel tables.
Beautiful. The constructions of the beauty of these objects now, I can load the Excel file of exports, I can load the imports file, and it becomes to be a data frame of Panda. And data frame of Panda is really in Python. I can manipulate it. It has so many. This object, it's like a table, but it's a very small table. It can make charts. It can make so many other things you will see in different courses, okay? In machine learning, we use it a lot. And certain things you will see, we will see as we go along. Next certificate, we'll spend more time on graphics. One of the topics is graphs. Here are just demonstrations how you can make graphs in a certain way. But this is a very important data frame. Very important object in machine learning used. But you can think about it as a nice table. By the way, you can define an index to it, blah, blah, blah. There's so much into it. For now, what we're doing is we have a beautiful function we built into an algo, knows how to take Excel, and it automatically knows exactly where it's supposed to be. So if I have another Excel, let's say the third Excel, I can just put it here and load it and make it as a Panda data frame. Excellent, excellent. This is just to confirm for us, we can really delete this row, but it's nice to see it, that everything is working. When you see it working, you can delete it. You don't really need it anymore because you know it works. Okay, good. Move on. Next stage. Up to now, we got data into the data frame. Next stage, we want to put it in the database, correct?
Yeah, correct. So putting it in the database, that is why we shall use a function called load data, upload data to database. No, actually, to first have to get that data. That's why we have this one, this function. But let me first explain what this is here.
No, slowly. Don't get confused. Stage number one, you uploaded those Excels to a data frame. Yes. Stage number two, you're taking the data from the Excel, putting them into the tables those three tables we described before, you
In the
fill them up with the data from the Excel in a nice way. Stage number 3, we can use the data in making our website. Correct?
Correct.
Okay, good. So now we are in stage number 2, filling up the 3 tables. Show us how it is being done.
So filling up the 3 tables, actually, let me first go to the tables themselves.
Good.
We have them in the models. We have the source table, the products table, and the year data table. But then this source table has two, this is when you see this is one row here, it has the type, but the type is the exports and the what? And the imports.
Correct.
Yeah. And then we have the product, which you see this, it has the 2 variables, 2 rows, the CITC2 plus the description. And then you also have the year data, which has the 4 rows here. But remember, there's another row which is automatically made.
Correct.
The primary key generated.
Correct.
Yeah. So let me go to this data processing. So here we are saying, since we are getting, let me say we are getting the exports. And here you see, as we named it type, we have it as what? As exports. Here we are saying source exports created. Created is also a function that we say, the get or create function says, if it is there, get, it's actually, this row is saying, get this table that exports or created, of which we know that it was already created.
Very good.
So,
find that row with the type export. If you found that, good, give it to me. And that will be the source export. The create will be false. If it doesn't find it, please create a new row, put the type to be equal to export, bring it back to me, and the create will be true.
yeah.
All right, good, very good. Go ahead.
So if you find that it is created, so here now is where we bring in the loop, where we use the loop, and we are saying for index, a row in the exports table, this is an iterating function.
This is reiterating over all the rows that we read from the Excel, remember? And we put it as a data frame. Correct. Beautiful.
Yeah. So we are saying, we are giving a variable description underscore as the row to what? To the description table in the source, under that source table in the models. And you also have a variable CITC2 underscore as the what? Equaling to the row CITC2 that is in the models, in the table source, which is in the models.
Correct.
Yeah. So this is print. If you want to see how it will look like, it will print for you these 2 rows. These 2 rows. I mean these 2 columns. And then you also do the same for the product table. We have the product, you use the same function. If it is there, if you create or get the what? The product table. And if it is not there, go ahead and do what? And create it. So we have this for NY in range. We are saying, you know that ranges in Python, from our tables in the export table, we have a year from 2015 to 2019. But then we know that a range in Python, you have to give it a year. You have to add on, like, you don't say from that exact year, you say to 2020. Say if your table was talking, so it was your years were going to 2015 to 2019, you give it another one ahead, like we did it here, 2015 to 2020. Yeah. So we are saying y is equals to this, the year plus the string what? NY. Actually, when I open the Excel, this. So you get to see that we have what? We have this. This, yeah, when you look at our variable here, we have, when you see this y is in front, it's in front of 2015, right? So you know that actually that y 2015 is this. We are saying add this y plus the string, which is what? Actually the ny, which is 2015, and give it a what? Since this is a string, that's why you see we have a string here. Yeah.
Beautiful. In
So
fact, you can say, like you took the description, I'm taking the data for the year 2015, and then I'm putting it into the database. And then I go to the 2016, do the same things, take it from the same row and put it in the database. You got it?
Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful. That's a very good understanding. I'm really happy. You really have a full understanding how it works. And the X and the import is just really the same things.
Yes.
Same idea because it's the same table. One thing, if I were to ask you, and it's really tricky, sometimes could be that the list in the export and the import are not the same. And that what might happen if you open the application in the browser.
So our application is this. You see when we.
Nice. But see, sometimes could be if you click on the import as well, and you can click on some of them, okay, will automatically bring that one too. You might don't get two lines. Why? Because there might be some industries that we have only import, but we don't have export, and vice versa. You got it?
Yes.
That could happen. Okay. And the list in the second table will have all the titles of all the products, but there could be some that don't have import or export. You know, this is really is beautiful understanding. I'm so happy that you got to this level. This is not trivial. You know, getting to this, to understand this function, it really is not trivial. Very proud of you, honestly. You know, this is very impressive. The last stage, it's we didn't really spend a lot of time. It's really the get data. This one we're using in creating the web page. Let's see how you handle that one. How you create the page itself with the template.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So this is a variable, which is a, let me say we gave it QS, we named it as QS, which is equals to the yard data.objects.all. But you know that this is this table is in the module. If you remember, it gets all the information that is what? That is in this table, in the table that you created. That I mean from the database. It will get it from the database because you are saying get it from the get data that is in the database.
Go ahead.
Yeah. And if we go in our PyCharm and open in the browser and open the admin. And we go to the U economics, you get to see that we have the products, we have the source, and the year data. When you see all this, we have the source, we have the product, we have the year, and we have the what? The value.
By the way, I made it -1 to say missing data. There's no data on those years. So yeah, otherwise you will get an error when you're uploading the data. So we fixed the data. So wherever was a NA or something like that, we put a -1. This is something in the future we'll see how to handle. Okay.
Okay. So that is in the Django. That is what this function does. It gets data from the database.
Beautiful.
And the PD this is a library called pandas.
Correct.
Yeah.
The beautiful say Panda, I told you Panda is very, very popular. It's such a powerful library. It knows how to read data from the SQL. It comes from Postgres, don't forget. This is the table sitting in a Postgres database. We're pulling it out. We're pulling all the data from it. By the way, SQ.values is really turning it to only values that coming from those columns. And then it takes this one, it knows automatically from a query set to turn it to a Panda data frame. And that's very, not a trivial. Somebody have written those functions. We're just using them here, okay? And now the beautiful part, so we have the data frame, we have the source, we have the product. That's pretty cool. Good. So we have all the data from all those three tables. That's what the get data bring us. Beautiful. Now, how do we use it in the view?
So when we go to the views, when you go to the views of our application, let me start with this function, the index function. Actually, when you look at the PDU, this is also a variable.
Correct.
Yeah, it's a variable that we give to our what? To this function that we created, algo UE in the data processing what? In our file of the data processing.
Your class. That's your
class. Yeah, it's a class.
And you're generating an object of it. Yes.
So this table, data frame, the table product source, we also give it what? To this function, the PDU.get data to this function.
Correct.
So we know that this is a return render.
This becomes to be so elegant. Why is it elegant? Because I know now that I'm done with this object,
yeah,
I can focus on making the template. So how you divide in real life when it's a huge project? Some people many times work on this class, they finish it, give it to somebody else that is specializing on doing templates. And he said, I need really, make me an object that can bring me those three values, okay? So somebody works on it, design it, put the data there, he finished and he said, you know what? Go ahead, you can go to this file, that data processing, import algo UE. You can pull up from there the three data tables that you're looking for and do whatever you want with it. You got it? And then that guy or that lady are specializing on making beautiful web page. Okay, and that's really the third part, making out of this data a nice presentation that somebody can look at it and make decision. Okay, now we want to go to the index template to which we're transferring 3 data frames and we're transferring a title. Correct. So let's look at it.
So, yeah. So when we look at this, I think you know all what this is. This is a Ginger language extending from the base of our new economics. I mean, from our HTML. We have, we know that this is a link. This is a link, and I think as Dr. Amo says, we should know this by heart. It is saying go to the URLs of the application and the application new economics and do what? And load data.
Correct.
Yeah.
In fact, this one we should really click on it only once. After we click on it, we don't ever need it. So many times you might do here, you know, that you put like a if command. If the one that is his authentication, he's an administrator, you put the button. If not, there won't be a button at all, because regular person shouldn't touch that button. Only administrator. It's uploading the data. He's in charge of it. Got it?
Yes.
So many times we will do like inside there, if command. If I'm an administrator, I will show you the button. But if you're not an administrator, you have no business clicking that button. Good. Next.
So when we look at this template, we have the style. Actually, this is CSS, which we can all
styling stuff, yes. Go on.
Yeah, this is styling stuff, the CSS. And then we know this is a JavaScript.
Right. So we have really 2 tabs. That's something we have seen in the beginning of the semester, correct?
Correct.
So we have 2 tabs, and the truth of the matter here, in fact, if in the source table were more than 2, it will make 3, 4, depends how many buttons I have. Right? If I had more Excels, that's not only export and import, maybe I'm interested also in, I don't know, how many people working in every industry every year. Could be 2. So I can have as many tabs as there are in the source table. That's the beauty. That's giving me flexibility. In export and import, there's usually 2, and usually compare those 2, and that's the end of it. And the next one, for every tab, you're creating, as we did in the beginning of the semester, we're having that one, like the one that will hold the data of when I click on the button. Is that right?
That's right.
Beautiful. Let's move on for the new stuff we learned last week. Let's skip the chart first. Let's skip the chart. We'll come back to the chart later on. Let's skip down. The black DOM ready, it's really done that it's always activated. This last block in the bottom, it's activated when the page is already, you know, when you click on a web page and you start seeing it, it doesn't come down at once. And there's functions you want them to be activated only after the whole page already downloaded. So, and this one is very crucial because you don't want to be able to, you don't want to make a chart when you don't have the data. Doesn't make sense. So that's why we made that block. Put function here only that you want them to start or to be defined or to be activated only after everything is already downloaded. But we skip the first function, we focusing on this part. This is a little hard, okay? The bottom one we know, we did it last time, the beginning of the semester. The only two things we didn't do, it's the last one and the one before. And that's what we want to go ahead. See, can you handle it? Go ahead. See, this function, if you notice, open source, it is linked. You see the open source?
Yes.
It is linked to the button. You see, we have a button and
Yeah.
we have open source. You see the open source here?
Yes, on clicking.
So when you click on the button, it's activating this function.
Yeah.
And what does it do is transferring the event as we usually do. And also the name, is it export or import?
Yeah.
So there's two variables on which button I clicked and if it's import or export. Okay, and that's nice. Okay, now that I know that, let's see what this function does. I go down and I say, okay, you know, if I clicked export, let's say export, sources export, I'm going to here, I'm defining general dictionary called pages. That's very important for you, Daniel. Going to be extremely important for you. I use it heavily in, not heavily, but elegantly in Uganda towns. Okay, there is much more. There's a lot of them. It could be, I click on directors, I click on different websites, Uganda, I click on Entebbe or Kampala or Apache. I don't want, if I go back to a different city, I don't want to download everything again. And the objective of this one, make sure you don't download twice something that you already have downloaded. So what I do is, first things, when somebody click on the button, it says export. I'm not going to, this is going to the server. I'm not going to the server immediately and downloading the data. I want to check if I already downloaded it or not. So I'm checking if the export, it's inside here. When I say pages, sources, meaning a dictionary and export, if there is, say in the beginning it's empty. So page, it will be really null. It will not have anything because there is no export, there's nothing. That's the way I define it in the beginning. So the first time somebody click export, it will say, okay, there's no page like that. That will mean if not page, mean if page is really empty, in other words, then go to the server. Then go to the server. And this is really combination of JavaScript with a Python, with Django. Is going to Django, as we already know, is going to the application new economics, to its URL, and looking for this function. And you already described that function. What this one going to do, let's go to it. Let's go to the view in new economics. Get source data. You see that? Here it is, correct?
Yes, correct.
And what the beautiful part, which you don't really normally recognize, is when you look here, when I'm calling this one, I can transfer variables, but this time, if you remember, as we had a mistake today, we transfer the ID here, remember? Here,
Yes.
in JavaScript, we put as many variables as we want right in here. Right under I call the function. And those variables, I can read them inside Python by looking in here. This is really, I'm reading which variable source you sent me. If it's export, I might get export. If you put, it will say export here. And then what do I want to do is export. Very nice now. I will see, I will get from the source what is the row in that database, in that table. And secondly, I'm getting all the products. I'm getting all the data. By the way, I'm not sure we need the last one, but we'll see in a minute again. And now becomes to be a very interesting, and that's the beauty. That really makes sophisticated programming and really a big picture. Somebody really have a good understanding how stuff has to be interactions between the client and the server. What I'm sending back, see, it's like rendering, and I am rendering a template. But this time I'm rendering a small template. And it's going to be created just like any template. I'm transferring those variables to the mini template. And this mini template, let's look at it. It doesn't have any extensions. It's just a simple HTML, a small piece of HTML. And the small piece in this case, it really is the table for export. And if I transfer import, it will transfer import. And it's sending only the export, if it was export. And see, all the stuff we did, source type, we will say export, of course. Here you see those all the years. Then we have for P in product, is going over all the product. And then he's going over this. By the way, I'm not sure we need, you know, let's try it. I don't think you need this one. I don't think it's necessary because we're not using it. So let's try it and see if I'm right. I don't think we need it. Okay, and that's beautiful. Now, see the beauty of the whole design. That's the crucial of this last element of this website. If I don't have, in the beginning I have nothing, I click on the button of the export. It said there is no export because I never clicked there. Okay, then it goes to the server and said, bring me the export. Okay, this one is doing all the work and is in the data. What the data will include? The data, it's nothing but this template. It's the whole HTML for the export. So I'm taking that data and I'm doing very simple. I'm going to the tab of where the export's supposed to be and where the export's supposed to be really. If we think about it, we did it manually first time and then we improved it. See, this is empty. I have two here. I have two div, one for the export, one for the import. So I'm connecting to the empty export. I'm connecting to the empty export and putting inside whatever I'm downloading from the server. So whatever I'm downloading from the server, the data, I'm first of all connecting to that object, that div, and inside inner HTML, it's meaning put that mini website you're sending me, put it inside this div. After you did it, so it will show me all the export, but now I don't want you, next time if I click on export, I do not want you to download again because I already have the data there. So I'm updating this pages, and I'm telling him put pages export to be equal to 1. I don't really care. I just put 1 for some whatever. I just wanted to make sure that there would be here the dictionary will have the export. Next time, if somebody will click on export, this one is not going to be activated at all. You got it? This is not going to work at all. I don't need to because I already downloaded the data. What I really do want, and that's already we learned the beginning of the semester, I would like it to change, correct? In fact, the whole thing's, yeah? The whole thing's here. We went over that in the beginning of the semester. just changing to the tab of the export. If I click on import, it will, if I don't have the import, it will bring the import information, and then it will switch to that tab. That's the beauty of it. I hope that's clear. Is that right, Brenda?
Yes.
Brenda, I took your role, sorry. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does make sense.
Beautiful. This is really closing a circle. Your website, Daniel, supposed to be the same style. Your catalog has to have, you have to have a dictionary eventually. Okay, you should have a dictionary here. And if somebody clicked on catalog, you should check if the catalog exists. If it doesn't exist, then you download the catalog and you show it in the right place. And after you show, you update here that the catalog is already down. Don't download it again. That makes the website works extremely fast when you go back and forth on pages. In your case, it's a little harder. It seems harder. It's already harder. You just need to organize all that web page in a nice way, and eventually you'll see. It'll be very easy. So this one is really worth gold in making website to work very nice. Okay? Connections to the server. If I need data, and if I got it, I update, I already have it, so I don't have to read it again. And then if I have a tab, it's just really changing it to the right tab. That's the third element, okay? First element, Excel into Panda data frame. Stage number 2 is from the Panda loading data into the database. Stage number 3 is showing the data in the most efficient way. Stage number 4, which I haven't taught, and that's what I will do now, shortly, it's not really that hard. When I click, see, already, if you look at that mini, when you look at that mini website, you notice, okay, if you have a good eye, you look table. In fact, where do we get the description? Where does the description go? We get it under the product. It will be right here. Correct?
Correct.
Okay, and now when I click on the description, I would like to see the graph. I don't see any function here that will do on click. So what it really means, I would like to be even smarter. I want to be really smart. I know eventually I'm going to put this piece of code is going to go inside here, correct? Between those two divs, is that right? In
Yes.
this div. One for the export, one for the import. There will be 2 of them, correct?
Correct.
So I can put the function right here. Here's the function. That's pretty cool. I don't need to put it in every line. I just can put it for the parents. That div is holding all the export rows, all the table. So when I click, it comes to here. Now, okay, so what this function does, and that's really what we have here. These functions is, the objective is to generate a chart. And that's a different topic. And next semester, in fact, one of the things I would like you, Brenda, and you, Brenda, you're working with whom? With Mildred?
Yes. I'm
You
working with
be expert on this part. Okay, it's in the beginning until I give you another assignment. But there's so many type of chart. Go ahead and start studying them. That's for next semester. Next semester, one of the topics will be graphs. But for now, we just wanted to see the idea, okay? And a simple graph. But the beauty part is, first of all, mechanism. A lot of people have no clue how to design that in a smart way. But if you notice, I put the function here. How can I know, on which row did I click. If we go back here, you know, when I click, well, we go to the, is that here? No. Where is the website?
The website is, you can close those ones.
I can close all of that?
Yes.
Okay. Close that. Close that. Where is the website, by the way? But I don't see it.
I think you have to restart the server.
I had restarted.
Yeah.
I like the design of the Lego, the business cards. Although I did something simple. I like simple, but this is much prettier. I like the design. Who designed it, by the way?
It's Jeremiah. Jeremiah, Mildred.
Ah, Jeremiah. That's what Michael told me. You are very talented.
And Mildred.
Beautiful job. Very beautiful job. So let's go back to.
The link is.
Yeah, here we go. Let's click here. Here we go. And when we go to here, then I go to the export. I'll click both of them so we don't have to. So when I click here, how does it know on which row I clicked? We didn't put the function on each one of them. We put it on the parents, on the div that includes everything. So how does it know? When you click, we have the event propagating up. And the event is our best friend. And the event tells me who is the target, who is the one I clicked on. And if I go there, in fact, you can, by the way, it's good exercise for you. Look it up, look at it. You can do alert and just do elm.outer HTML, and it will show you really which one you clicked on. And inside you will see all those attribute ID. We have ID. That's very important. And that you have to be smart how to name stuff. So when we go to the index, when we go to the here, pay attention how I named it. Every row in the list, you see we have, I wrote ID. I put the source. You see the source?
Yes.
And I put the PID, okay?
Yeah.
And when I can read the ID from the event, because I'm clicking on this, the event will tell me on which row I clicked. So that's what I'm getting here. So this one will have attribute called ID. I read the ID. I take the ID, I break it to two parts, by the way, because all what I really care is the second part is the ID of the row that I got from the database, because that's really what comes in here. See, when I put p.id, this ID, it's really nothing but the ID that comes from the database. Okay, I'm getting that ID. And by the way, I'm not really going to the database anymore. I'm being smart. I'm going to I'm getting imports dot something. So I'm getting import ID, export ID, and then I'm playing around. I'm getting the import ID, I get the objects. And then I say, if not, import. By the way, this is, if somebody didn't click on the import, I'm just bringing it back. There is a very interesting trick here. I never taught you that one. This line, it's like wolf gold. This is really sophisticated one. What it says, you know, if the user didn't click on the import, I will click it for him. This is like I'm clicking on it. What do I mean by that? Look at that. Let's refresh. I'm clicking on the export. Okay? And I want to make a chart here. But the data of the import didn't come down yet. Is that correct? Because they are empty.
Yeah, it hasn't come yet.
If I click here and I want to make a chart of import and export, I cannot do it because I don't have the import.
Let
So
me
when
have
I
it.
click here, I find out that the data, by the way, here we go, you see? It shows you exactly on what you clicked on. You see that?
Yes.
And by the way, it's the product 76. But that's one thing. Secondly, is realizing you don't have the data of the import. So what it does, if you don't have the data of the import, see if it's trying to see if you have a data of the import. It doesn't have, because if you notice, by the way, look at here. I give it an ID. What do I give the ID? Source. I should put it somewhere here.
Down there, the source,
Where is it?
the PID.
No, it should be, where did I put it? Here I have that, I have that, I have that.
How about that TD? The table ID is equals to source.
What did I check here for? For the import underscore and then the number, the number. Yes. Hold a second. Correct. In fact, it really is. So I have import underscore and the number. In fact, I'm checking if I have this one. You see that?
Yeah.
I'm checking if I have also the import. If I don't have the import, that means I didn't download the import. And vice versa also could be. If I click on the import, but I didn't click on the export, it means I didn't have the export. So I'm doing it symmetrically. So if I'm trying to find this one, if I don't find it, I'm giving you an alert that I don't find the data and I'm going to download it. And this is the element that it's interesting. Look at the button import. That's the ID of the button for the import. If you look at the, if you look in here, this is the button you see with when it says import. Okay?
Yes.
I get a hook of it with the element. I get it with the element. Where is that? Here we go. I get that one. And then I'm creating something very interesting. This is something new. I create an event. This is called creating an event. Bubbers means after, it's like the user clicked. And after it's clicked, I'm allowing it to propagate or bubble. In this case, it won't make a difference because the function is right there. I could have written even bubble force. Bubble means it can propagate on top if there is parents boxes rounding it. But I'm creating an event. And which kind of an event? Of click. And I'm telling him, go please dispatch this event to this element, to the button. Meaning, go and as if the user clicked. This is a very important. Got it?
Yes.
Create an event and make it as if the user clicks. So if I go here, please notice, okay? I will leave now. It says no import data. And what it will do, it will click for me on the import. See that?
Oh.
That's what this one did. So now I have the export and the import. Got it?
Yes.
That's pretty cool. That's very, very, very hard and very sophisticated, very useful and very powerful. Okay? These are just made that will make an kind of, you can do a lot of other, many other ways, but I did wanted you guys to be aware to this important function. Okay? Then finally, by the way, this is really asymmetric. This one is the same thing. If the user have clicked the import but then click the export, it will do the same things for the export. And it will bring the export as well. Okay? So they are the same. Let me delete this one so you don't get that message all the time. That's deal with really bringing the data to the web page. So now we understood how do we use, how do we make sure that the data downloaded and we understand the whole thing. This one is the graph. This is really, you do really need to learn a little bit how to make a graph. And there is something called trace. For every chart, I can create a trace. And if you look at this one, this is for one chart, and this one for the second one. One for import, one for export. And then you can see, it will take an X and a Y, and in a minute we'll see what a Y is. Which kind of a line I want. I want lines with chart. I put the color, the size of the writing, okay, blah, blah, blah. What the color of the line, how wide, should it be too wide? You can play with it forever. There's a whole library, and you have a link from the Academy City. I made a link to that library, so you can learn. But this is a basic line one. So what this one require? It require X and a Y. Besides, after you decided the colors, okay? By the way, this one I gave it one color, the other one I gave it a different color, okay? But here I gave it a name export, this one have a name import, okay? And beside that one, the only thing is I need to give an X and what the Y, so that will make a one line. And the other one is the same. I give the same X's, but I need to give a different Y. So one of them, I call it Y export for E, and one I call it Y for I, for import. And that becomes to be really easy. I make two lists and the X, and I just looping, and that's really cool, okay? By the way, because we know how we created, the way we created this one, and this one we created not coincidentally, but in a very smart way, okay? How did we create it in a smart way? You see, for Y in product, blah, blah, how do we give it an ID? You see the ID?
Yes.
Source, ID, and a year. So if I want to pull the data, this is really the data that I'm showing for every year. So I can really use that structure of being smart in the Y given name. I can pull the data as I wish. So now this becomes to be really easy. I do for I from 2015 to 2020, meaning up to 2019. I'm rolling over 5 times. And what am I reading? I get element by the way, imp ID, if you say what is imp ID, I already defined that before. You see imp ID and export ID?
Yes, I do.
It's already the first two parts that I used here. You see, this is the first two parts that I used here, correct? And here, I used only 2 parts, but I added here the year as well. Got it?
Yes.
And now I can loop over all of them. And for each one of them, okay, I take, what did I do? Hold a second, here we go. Let's go back. Where is it? Here we go. All what I had to do now is really adding 2015 into here. So I'm getting now the component that has the data of that specific year. Inner HTML gives me whatever it's typed here, which is the value. That way I'm pulling the data really for my HTML. I don't really need to get it back again from the server. That would be stupid. So this one works so fast because it's taking it on the computer of the user. When I get this one, there's a function called push. It's going over all the 5 years. So it's making the YI, it will have 5 numbers. Push means add in JavaScript. So it's adding the one of the import, does the same things for the export, is filling up those 2. This one will have the import, 5 numbers. This one will have the export, 5 numbers. And finally, of course, what am I pushing? The years. So X will be the years. This will be the import, the export, and that's exactly what I need. Here in the first choice, I put the X with the YI, okay? 2015 up to 2019. It's in the X. I put the import, which I pulled from the table. And the same things I'm doing for the next trace, the next line. Okay, now becomes to be the last, which is easy. I add all the traces that I want to print. That becomes to be an easy part. Var layout title, I'm giving him the title. In the element, I'm taking from the element the title, okay, that I have. And chart, it's a very special one. If you notice, I created a div and I gave it a name chart. That's a div. If you go up, there is one chart where I'm supposed to have the chart, where the chart's going to be printed. You see the chart? Where is the chart? I think I put it in the, here we go. You see it's a div. You see that?
Yes.
But it's very important the way I designed it. If you see style position, okay, fixed, meaning when you scroll down or up, it doesn't move. Z index, I put it 10. So even if, you know, let's make it big letters. Hold a second, make it bigger even. No, I think I made sure it won't go there. But if I click here, okay, this always will be even on top of this one. If there will be other things, it will be always on the top. The higher is the Z index, the higher layer is this one. Got it? But I made sure that, yeah, here we go. You see, when they're over, this is always on top of this one. Doesn't matter which size the user is looking at. So this one is always will be on top of this one. Got it?
Yes.
That's why you're giving a Z higher. All the regular components are Z1 or Z0, I don't even remember anymore, but I always give it a high number. Then I tell him it's only 35 width, height, padding, how much space on the left, the right. That's less important. Top 40, it's how far it's from the top. Okay, so it's if you go top, this is like 40% of the screen. So if you scroll up, please notice the image doesn't move. You notice it's not moving?
Yes, it's not.
And the reason it's not moving is because here we gave it position fixed, meaning don't move it. It's fixed. As you scroll, it doesn't scroll. Okay, now I have a div. The div is empty. Remember, when we refresh, we don't see anything on the right side. When I download the export, the data come, I click the import, the data come, but there is nothing here. It's empty. When there is something here, when I click. When I click, what's going to happen is I'm getting all the data. So let's see what happened to the click. That's what we got here. Remember, I'm filling up the YI, YE, and the X. And finally, I'm getting to the last line. There is a library called Plotly. Very important. By the way, it's a very important company. You know what's special about Plotly?
No?
It's owned by Spotify. And Spotify, they're designing all their web pages using Django. Amazing. It's a huge company, by the way, very good company. And all what it says, you know, this is like a beautiful library that somebody have done. And he said, you know what? I will make you a chart according to the way you defined. Where did you define it? In here. Those two traces, the data include those two lines. Put it here. Which layout do you want? The layout, I'm just telling him, just add the title. Which title? In fact, if you go to the element, it has an inner, has the title of the element, okay? What was the element? I even forgot, okay? You can play with it. There's so many ways you can transfer it. But what was the element? Anybody remember? That's the whatever I clicked. Remember whatever I clicked? So if I clicked, by the way, if I clicked on this one, it takes this one, will be the same title here. You got it?
Yes.
That's pretty cool. Okay, so it takes the item you clicked on, and he's putting it in the layout as a title. And you can see what layout can allow you to add other stuff. But this is the basic stuff. So the layout goes here. Which lines do you want? And where do you want me to put it on the page? On the page, I want you to put it in the empty div that I created for charts. Now it's clear, is that right?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, isn't it?
It is.
Now, by the way, if you want, you can, as an exercise, how about, okay, you put two buttons here. Let's see if you'll be able to do it. You can put a button, line chart, bar chart. And if you click on the line, it will be like this one. If you click on the other one, automatically, for this one, it will be a bar chart. Bar chart is meaning you put this next to this one, this next to this one, and whatever. You can look at the library of the chart, of the graphs. There's so many kinds. That makes sense. Now you can see that you really have, by doing this exercise, you really came along beautifully, really. That's all. Is that right?
I put two buttons, the bar chart and
One buttons will say line chart, one will say bar chart.
okay.
Now bar chart, you know what a bar chart is. By the way, if you go to Academy CD, I gave you a link to it, and we will talk about it next time. Maybe you'll teach it next semester. What do you think? You should. That's what you required in the third semester, to be able to study and teach by yourself. And then when it becomes to be really useful, let's go to Academy City. Where am I? I didn't log in. I think I made you administrator, didn't I?
You did.
Okay. So if you go here, now you have to document everything. Make sure you know how to teach that. And that's a beautiful case study. Which one was that? We are here. And we are here. And by the way, I put here links. In that chapter 2, I put it in the assignment, I think, didn't I? Where did I put it? Where did I put that one? That's the JavaScript, case study, case study. This is the 2 case study you're supposed to do. And then I think I might have done it. Where did I put it? Let me see, I forgot. Oh. By the way, this is really the topic for next time, but I might have put it here. Yeah, look at this one. This is really nice stuff. Plotly in JavaScript. If you click here, this is a nice library. You see, you're using this one, if I recall. This is the one I made you. How about you make a chart? This is the bar chart, by the way. No, not this one. React is another type of a JavaScript applications, okay? How about you make a line, and this is a bar chart, by the way. But let's see, statistical charts. You can see that, how beautiful it is?
Yes.
3D, later on will use, by the way, I used that once for one of my clients. The 3D is very nice. Let's see which one I want you to do. This is pretty cool for finance, economic, a map, how to make a map. It really is, if you master that one, this is really, we can start creating website, people can realize the Academy City has people that can do a lot of things, okay? Now you have the tools to understand how it should be built. Am I right? This is 3D, it's very nice. You have to get to a level you can start studying by yourself. By the way, this is very common in finance of stock prices. You use that one, but there are, I'm looking for, this is the chart, basic, that's scattered, line chart, bar chart. Let's see that one. You click on it, and it'll give you a lot of examples. By the way, it'll give you even a code. You see, a bar chart? But you
Yes.
might want two. Yeah, this one you want. You see that?
Yes.
You want to turn it to this one. Let's see if you can take this code and shuffle it around and make it to be a function of a button. That's a very nice exercise.
Okay.
Okay, beautiful. Now, I would like you two things. One is, of course, to update the Academy City website. When you go here, this is your baby, basically. It's your first baby. It's the case study of export and import. Here you're going to give a description, and you know already how to do it. Is that right?
Yeah.
You go here, and you add, you put introductions, the objective, blah, 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 and all the stuff. What was it? Something I'm expecting from, what's his name? Daniel and Jimmy and Jeremiah. Okay, you and Mildred put introductions, the objective of this project, comparing export to import. Talk a little bit as a businesswoman. Don't you see with me, you talk as a technical. Now, when a person, let's say a town clerk, he wants to know what you can do. He is not interested in the database, in the chart, how you make it. What can I do with it? You got it?
Yes.
So you present it like a case study of developing application to analyze export versus import in order to find which kind of industries the country should increase the export and reduce the import. And later on recommend to search for those industries that the country can specialize and even reduce the import because we can produce it in Uganda instead of importing it. Can we, if we are good in export, are we enough? But that is really like stage number one in research. Next, number two is really picking up which one to do. But for your project is, I'm comparing export versus import to identify industries in which we should increase export and reduce import. And describe that the process is downloading data from this Uganda Board of Statistics. It was downloaded from their website. We turn it to Excel. From Excel, we updated the data into a database so our website works much faster. Fair enough? And now, okay, and then eventually we made interactive web page, which is really nice, fast working, and nice for analysis. Now, the second part is for our student next semester, whoever taking the certificate too. And you want to describe the database. There are 3 tables, the link between them. You might even have a chart there, okay? Describe them. You can put even maybe the code here so they can see it, but they will view also the code over there. Then you explain the design of the template. You design, you can do database design, design of the URLs, design of the views, design of the templates. You got it?
Yes. Yes.
That could be really turning you to be really professional. Fair enough?
Yeah.
Beautiful. You made me very happy, Brenda. I really liked it, honestly. This is not a, this is not a trivial exercise, frankly. It's not really that trivial. And I feel that you have a full control. Finish it up with those two buttons. Let's see if we can handle it. Not easy. Okay, and then start writing, and that will be perfect. Will be really, really perfect. How are you doing, Mr. Daniel? Hold on, one more last word. When you're making a presentation, Brenda, you can make a PowerPoint. In the PowerPoint, you can take a screenshot of how the screen look like. Remember, you're not talking to technical people, you're talking to business people. So you tell them, this is a very important application to analyze. He give me chart. So you take a screenshot and you put points special about this web page. It works very fast, help to make a decision very quickly, so that I can see comparison of export and import. Third, as we get more data, it can be updated automatically. This element you haven't done yet, but you will in the future. Okay?
Okay.
When they will look at that one, that's really, they won't give you more than 3 to 5 minutes to talk. And they don't really care about the technical part. They will infer, oh, she can do those kind of things. We don't have anybody that know how to do it. But how you do it, it's not their business. And they really don't care either, and they don't have the tools to understand it. But you want to broadcast confidence. You want to show that you do know how to do it by saying, this is very easy. We can add more type of charts. It works very fast because we use technology that we don't go back and forth on the internet, downloading data. Everything is very sophisticated done. So when you click, you see how quick it is changing because we're using very advanced technology. And the way we design it, it's a good design. We use a database, we use the internet in an efficient way, and it really works even when the internet is slow. And you know why now? Because you only have to download once.
Yeah.
So talk as a businesswoman with a lot of background of technical. But don't talk about the technical, you talk, hey, I have the technical and this is what you are interested that I can do for you. Fair enough?
Yeah.
Why is Daniel? Why is Daniel disappearing all the time? Yeah. You're moving from the right to the left, left to the right. I don't know where you are. Here's Jonathan. How are you, Jonathan?
Fine.
Why I see Daniel twice and I see you once? I see Daniel from 2 cameras. But I see you from only 1 camera. Tell Daniel to move the camera to the right, to his left. Here's Mildred. Now I see Jonathan. Move a little bit, I see Mildred too twice. Okay, good. How are you doing, Mildred?
Great.
I want to hear that you're doing a lot of the writing too.
Yeah.
This is a beautiful project, honest to God. You got here a big jump. Am I right, Brenda?
You're very, very correct.
And you see why we didn't focus on doing the form in the way they do it in Django, because we can use JavaScript in a much more sophisticated way. By the way, it would be really interesting if you can add another, that's later on maybe, you don't want every time to, you know, what will you do next time? You'll get another Excel. Is that right?
Yes.
Is your system will work? No, it will not. Because you hard copied the years, remember?
Yes.
We said we have to add another table, remember? But don't do it now. That will be some other time.
Okay.
And, okay, so now we're going to Daniel. Let me tell you, the timetable is very crowded. I have only couple days before I leave. Daniel, I do want to see your advancement. So maybe we dedicate a little bit of the time tomorrow and you work all night long.
Tomorrow, early in the morning.
Tomorrow,
What do you say, Daniel?
tomorrow it is possible at 10.
Is Jimmy gonna be there?
Yes.
Jimmy, I see your picture, but you're not moving in the picture. Isn't it, do you see his picture? I see his picture.
That's his picture.
Oh, Michael joined us.
Yeah, Michael was on.
Was he all along? I didn't notice it.
He was
Yeah,
on.
I had everything from the
You
beginning
got
up
that?
to
What
the
did you
end.
hear? I talked about you. What did you hear?
Whatever Brenda said and whatever you said,
Nobody talked about you. What did I say about you?
you only said that I said something about Jeremiah.
No, I didn't. I was testing you. I didn't talk about you. I just said that I talked to you.
I understand. But if you're trying to create time, I think right now we are trying to be perfect. So even though it means Daniel to sleep at Academy City, you can have a session with him at night, even if it is midnight. So
Yes. You don't know me. I never sleep.
so he's very free for you. Even though you want to create it at midnight tomorrow, he's going to be available.
No, I tell you what, I think be ready for tomorrow. Maybe we'll meet tomorrow morning. I need to take my test, the COVID-19, before I fly. So in the morning, I will go and take the test. Hopefully they give me a shot as well. I already recovered the COVID. I had a COVID before, so I'm recovered. And I have antibiotics in my blood. So it's like getting a vaccination, but I'm going to take vaccination anyway. Hopefully they give me.
Okay.
And after that, we can talk. Okay?
No problem.
So, and there's the second one. And the third one is the Uganda town. That's the most important website. And that's, I think, a
That's
new
true.
responsibility. And who else?
I'm yet to find someone.
I tell you why it's so important. Because I want to convince, hopefully I'm supposed to meet, I think, the Minister of Local Government. And I want to convince him to turn it to an official website of the country. And it's so crucial, you master it very,
Yes,
very
it's a
much.
big move.
It's not enough that I will show that I know how I did it and how I'm building it and how I really want to show him that there is a student in Uganda, in Kampala, which can maintain it and continue. So what I would recommend also, try to even contact some of the people with the people of Mangasa, Jinja, if you can get some information. And you
Okay.
have about top 5 minutes, like Brenda, if she have 5 minutes, to talk about the special about this website from a business perspective. Why should the town use this website? You know, there's so many of them. And the
That's true.
reason is uniformity, easy of maintenance, low cost of maintenance. Second, after the people start getting used to it, not only the citizens, but also the employees of the towns. Then we can add on top of it managerial website that only the officers in the town can manage the town, put information directly to the website, be very effective and efficient. That can help growing the revenue of the city. We will help them eventually to build up like a like customer or citizens management system. How I manage my citizens, how I manage my revenues. I know that they already have some projects, but we can help big time because we have very advanced technology.
Okay.
That's the message you want to convey and talk with confidence.
Right.
Okay? So
Yes.
I will check the schedule today and tomorrow, and I will send you an email what the timetable is and when. Now, I would like you guys, I know that we try to have, we're having a meeting with the town clerks. I'm gonna give some sessions as well. But there will be a session with you and them together. And that's the opportunity to find out what you guys can do for them and to generate revenue for Academy City of Uganda. And you want to broadcast that you're really useful, you're not just internship. Remember when David asked, do you want us to give them internship? I said, no,
Yes, that's true.
we don't want internship. We want to do real stuff. We can do real stuff. This is real stuff. By the way, Brenda, what you did is a real stuff. What Daniel is doing is a real stuff. What Michael, you doing, it's a real stuff. And I talked to the guys in Ivory Coast. There's a very smart guy, brilliant guy, Sergey. And he works for export and import company. And he asked me if we can consider to develop what it called CRM. I told him that what he's looking, it's a CRM. CRM is a contact, it's a customer relationship management. And this is really one of the most sought after system. There's excellent one out there, but none of them is really good one that's written in Django.